All right, everyone, I want to wrap up by talking about a few examples of biomolecules that don't fit neatly into the monomer and polymer type structure. So first, let's talk about lipids. This is a category of biomolecules that's defined by being nonpolar, so they don't dissolve in water. This picture shows the structure of a fat molecule, and you can notice that fat molecules have hydrocarbon chains in them, which makes them very, very nonpolar. Notice that this particular fat has two saturated fatty acid chains and one unsaturated fatty acid chain because it has a double bond. So you already learned those words saturated and unsaturated, and you might have heard those before in terms of diet or seen them on a nutrition label. That's what they refer to. Typically, saturated fats will come from animal sources, so you're thinking things like butter, and unsaturated fats come from things like nuts and like vegetable oil and olive oil, and unsaturated fats tend to be more healthy for you, but all fats are something you want to have in moderation. This is just another way to see the structure of them in that condensed line drawing type structure, and you can see like this is an unsaturated fat. This fat molecule has more saturated chains. Cholesterol is another example of a lipid. It is a totally different structure than a fat. You might notice it has one alcohol group on it, but the rest of this is all carbon and hydrogen, which makes it very nonpolar, so it doesn't dissolve in water. Cholesterol is sometimes bad for you because it can do things like clog your arteries, but cholesterol is also really important in your cell membranes. It's also an important building block to help you make certain hormones like estrogen and testosterone. You can see that the structures of those are really similar to cholesterol. So it's one of those things that you do need to have in your diet in certain amounts. Your body can also produce it, but having too much of it in your diet can be a bad thing. I also want to talk briefly about vitamins, which are organic molecules that living things need them in order to survive. They don't really fall into these other categories of biomolecules, but they are important for survival. Scientists started discovering them in the 1900s and then just basically named them according to the order that they discovered them. So if you've heard of like vitamin A or C or vitamin E, those are all just letters that were given to them as they were discovered. So vitamin A was the first one to be discovered. This is the structure of vitamin A. There are a few different forms that vitamin A can take, and they have different names depending on which functional group they have at the end. But you can see like vitamin A has unsaturated hydrocarbon chains as part of its structure. Vitamin B is actually a big category of vitamins, which is why there's all these different ones with like numbers after them. The thing they have in common is that they dissolve in water, and their structures can vary a lot, and what they do in your body varies a lot. I just wanted to show you the structures of a couple of them. This is thiamine, this is riboflavin, vitamins B1 and B2. Notice that they have nitrogens and oxygens on them. That's what makes them have polar regions that let them dissolve in water. These two words you might see on like a cereal box label because they often get added to foods like cereals or like bread that's supposed to have vitamins added to it. You'll often see thiamine, riboflavin added to that. And then finally, vitamin C is another water-soluble vitamin. Notice it has lots of oxygen atoms and alcohol groups that makes it water-soluble, and so that's why you might find vitamin C in things like orange juice or in fruits or vegetables that have a lot of water content to them, like tomatoes or bell peppers and things like that. So that's just a quick introduction to lipids and vitamins.